In this video, we're going to learn how to model a chair. The first thing that we need to do is open up the small object inches template. And then from there, now we're going to use some images from an actual chair that we would like to trace, and then use a guideline or a background for our chair modeling. So think of this like you have a piece of paper, and then you're going to be tracing that piece of paper or image and make it a 3D model. Ideally, when you model an object from an existing piece or an existing item, you it's preferred to have a top and front and side view and a perspective, if possible, because that will give you more constraints and accuracy to start building your model. So the next step to continue modeling or developing your model is to import or insert those images in your Rhino environment. So you will not use insert or import. You will use a command that's called picture frame. So picture frame. Well, I guess in Rhino 6, the command was modified, and now it's only called picture. If you are using Rhino file, if you ever get to use Rhino file, this is a new command that as I was mentioning, in Rhino file 5 is called picture frame, but now in Rhino 6 is only called picture. So you will type picture, and then from here it will open up a folder where you can navigate and find the location where you want to save or where you want to retrieve those images from. So I'm gonna just paste the location of that folder, and these are the 3 images that I need. So I have a front, right, and top. So I'm gonna select top, open, and then from here I'm just gonna click once, and then it will start drawing like if it was a rectangular shape. And then from here, just click a second time, doesn't matter the size right now, and then do the same thing for the other images. It doesn't matter the size that you create those images with when you place them in the Rhino environment. So once you have all the images that you have, even if you had a 3D, it's good to have as a reference there. I'm gonna create a folder or a layer that has all those images. I'm gonna call it images. So that's like kind of like my background images that I will be using to trace the chair. And now I need to orient orient and rotate those images and scale them. So I'm gonna say that first I will scale 1, and I'm gonna say that the width of the chair is 24 inches. So I'm gonna scale from this point to that point, and now I want that to be 24 units. The inches symbol, enter. Okay, so that's one image was scaled, and then I will need to scale the rest now. So I can put this aside. I'm gonna move this one to the corner, scale it from here to here, scale. If it needs to be, no, I think that's good. And then also I'm gonna type and now I'm gonna rotate this one. So, oops, and locate that image and then scale it. When you scale it, it's just scale like to scale it regular, like not scale 1D nor 2D. Okay, so you have that, and now let's rotate them. Rotate the images 90, 90. And then from here, I'm gonna put it to the center. So I'm gonna say, I'm gonna turn on my O snaps and midpoint. I'm gonna say I want this to 0 to put it at the origin. Same thing for this one at the origin. And the top view, I'm gonna scale it. I'm gonna position it through the center, from the center of the image to the origin of the environment. So I need to find center on my O snaps and then look for one of the edges, find the center, and type 0. Okay, so you have them, all of them basically on top of each other and overlapping. And now you are going to, I'm going to say move this, just to remember that number, I'm going to move it 20 feet. Or maybe that was too much. I'm going to say 10 in total. I'm sorry, 10 feet. I'll do 5 instead. 5 feet. Okay, so 5 feet for that one. Look at the images, how you're moving them in perspective, but the orthogonal viewports don't change. So now I'm gonna move this one right here, and I'm going to move this minus 5 feet. See how it doesn't change in here, but you're moving it in the 3D space in perspective. And this one, just to make sure, I'm gonna move it down minus, I'm gonna say minus 3 or 2 feet. From there, just to make sure that I'm not touching them or move them, I'm gonna lock the layer, so I cannot select them. And also, before I locked it, I can select all the images, go to the properties, go to textures. Let's see. So text under material, and then once you go to the properties of the object, click on the material button, and then from here look for transparency and just change that to, I'm gonna say 67, like 75% or so, something like that. Okay, once you did that, you can see how the opacity of the images change. You can still see them, but they're not as bright as you will see them before. And the opacity, so it makes them a little bit transparent. So if you have geometry placed behind them, if I change this to shaded mode, you can still see through them. But if it was 100%, 0%, you cannot see through them, as you can see right here. So opacity 70 something, 75 or so. Okay, now you can see through that, and now we can lock the layer. So select all of them, go to layer, and then images is locked, so now you won't be able to move him. So this is the technique that it's used a lot in animation, where they put reference images or backgrounds, and then you start tracing on top of that, on top of them. For those that have some uh, desire on product design or even furniture design, the way that I can illustrate this process is that when you have a product, so this is something that I model, a character model um, for animation that I did some time ago. So you start with the sketches basically. So again, these sketches represent this character that I was modeling. It was in a different software, but it's the same process that we're going to follow. So I have my elevation, and then I have my side view of that character, and then I also put a 3D of that character. After that, once you have the sketches done, then you start thinking about details like facial expression. So in addition to if you're not doing a model, a character for a animation, let's say you're doing a furniture model, then you can start thinking about like the little details. So some of the details in character animation is like the facial expression that I was saying. So if it is furniture, then you can get into like, is there any piping in the furniture? Is there any type of reveals or carving in it? Floral decoration, anything like that. So then after that, once you have some of the details for the concept, and then you have the front sketch, the side sketch, then you put those drawings into a more refined representation, like using other software. So you can use AutoCAD to create those, the front and then the side elevation, and then you create separate images out of these elevations. In this case, if it was a furniture, I prefer to have the front, the side, and then the top view minimum. Then you put that in the Rhino environment, both all the views that you have, and you start modeling like if you were tracing it, which is what we just did right now in the in Rhino. So now that we have that, we're gonna create some layers for construction lines. So we're gonna call this construction lines, and then we're gonna create another layer for model. And then from here, we're gonna start creating our chair.